Coming up on this edition of Reel to Real, living below the poverty line in the United States, changing hearts, helping women with crisis pregnancies, and remembering the accomplishments of a very special artist. These stories and more are just ahead on this edition of Reel to Real from the Gray House in Springfield.
From throughout Western New England and beyond, this is Reel to Real, your window on the world around you. Here is your Reel to Real host, Sharon Roulier.
Hello and welcome to Reel to Real, today as we pay a visit to the Gray House in Springfield. This is a small neighborhood human service agency located on Sheldon Street in the North End that has accomplished great things. Its mission is to encourage neighbors in transition to achieve a more stable, safe, productive, and spiritually satisfying life through education and community service. Founded by 5 Sisters of St. Joseph in 1984, Gray House provides services for the civic, social, and educational needs of the people in this neighborhood. The mandate of the original founders is that the Gray House is a place where peace is lived and learned, and hope is shared. We've come here this week to highlight the issue of poverty in this country, as nationally we mark Poverty Awareness Month. First, however, we begin with our Focus on Life segment. The U.S. bishops have asked Catholics to take part in a special pro-life novena, which begins today and runs through January 26th, meant to coincide with next week's 41st anniversary of Roe v. Wade, which legalized abortion in America. But far from becoming accepted, it remains a highly controversial issue. As Carolee McGrath reports, recent efforts have become more focused on prayer and outreach to women. This includes volunteers who are doing practical things to change hearts and to help women facing crisis pregnancy. Efforts like those at the New Women's Center, which is in its 2nd year of operation in downtown Springfield.
When pro-life groups gather to pray in front of Planned Parenthood in Springfield, they often focus on the cross. Most are hoping to reach out and help women choose life. They're praying to save one more baby from the tragedy of abortion, and at the very least, show women in crisis that perfect strangers are in their corner and care for them. But for the past several years, pro-life volunteers have also had to watch their step, making sure to keep out of what's known as the buffer zone, a 35-foot area around the clinic entrance. The law has been in place in Massachusetts since 2007. Inside the painted line, a pro-lifer could be arrested. The case is now before the U.S. Supreme Court. Sharon Roulier spoke with diocesan attorney John Egan.
There actually is a line painted on the pavement or on the sidewalk within which no pro-life advocate can go. On the other hand, specifically accepted in that statute are employees of the clinic or volunteers for the clinic. So the objection that was argued before the Supreme Court is that the Massachusetts law now allows one side of the issue to be advocated within the 35 feet zone, protective zone, but bars the pro-life advocates, keeps them outside of the 35 feet.
Opponents of this law say it limits free speech. Egan says he believes the court will rule sometime this spring.
Any infringement on free speech is always a matter of particular interest to the Supreme Court.
When people are outside the Springfield's clinic, they'll often refer women who need help to crisis pregnancy centers.
And then the people drop their donations. We'll put it all on the table. We'll sort by boy and girl clothing, and we put it according to size.
Glenda Ferraro and Lucero Romero, a first-year postulant with the Missionary Sisters of Our Lady of Perpetual Help, sort through baby clothes at the New Women's Center in Springfield. Located right on Main Street in the heart of the North End, the center is there to help women facing a crisis pregnancy choose life. Glenda and her husband Fred are among the original founders of this all-volunteer nonprofit.
We're trying to be family friendly, be in the middle of the community itself. Right now we are across from the bus stop, so it's easier for the women to come. A lot of the women actually come, or families, sometimes we have families come, they walk.
The new Women's Center is also just up the street from Planned Parenthood. The location was chosen to be a life-affirming alternative for women. The center, open for almost 2 years now, helps an average of 15 families a month, providing baby supplies, free pregnancy tests, and information about the baby's development in the womb.
Usually there is something deeper that is affecting the woman that it makes them want to terminate a pregnancy. So, like I said, the few that had come through, there was one specifically that came, and after sorting things out, she realized, you know what, yeah, I can do this. It's not that bad, but sometimes overwhelming. And we're here just to offer the truth.
They also give referrals for health, financial, and educational services. In addition, they refer women who have had a past abortion to Rachel's Vineyard Ministry, a post-abortive ministry of the diocese. 21-year-old Lucero grew up in Florida.
I think just having me present here, the girls maybe just felt more confident because it wasn't just all grown-ups, but then also a young lady, because I will be at the back or I'll be at the desk. But just with me welcoming them and giving them a smile or how are you, I think made a difference.
Sandy Hines, a member of Holy Name Parish in Springfield, is also a volunteer.
I really love the women and children, and every time a client comes into the new Women's Center, I try to treat them like I would Jesus and Mary. And I try to get to Mass first thing in the morning before I come, and that kind of, I think, puts me in the proper frame of mind.
And as the new Women's Center continues to help families and babies, we're coming up on the 41st anniversary of Roe v. Wade, that landmark Supreme Court decision which legalized abortion in this country. The anniversary is January 22nd. This year, the U.S. bishops are calling on Catholics to take part in a 9-day pro-life novena from January 18th through the 26th to pray for the protection of all life from conception to natural death. Mark DuPont is the spokesman for the diocese.
I think the bishops realize that to make real progress on this very contentious issue and to really support life needs to transform hearts. It's fine to fight for legislative needs, and those are very important. But at the end of the day, true success will be measured in really turning the hearts of people to understand how important this cause is.
DuPont is also the chair of the Pioneer Valley, Massachusetts Citizens for Life Mother's Day Dinner, which will be held in May.
I think this 9-day novena that the bishops have introduced is a great way to get people to know that on any level they can become involved in the pro-life issue, that they can advocate for pro-life causes simply by prayer and fasting. That's a powerful tool we have as Christians, the power of prayer. And I think the bishops are trying to get Catholics to understand that's an important tool to employ to transform other people, to come to understand that the sanctity of life is something that transcends political boundaries. It's really a human issue, a human rights issue that we need to all embrace.
Embrace and stand together to protect the innocent. Reporting for Real to Real, I'm Carolee McGrath.
And remember, you can stay up to date on this issue and all of the news impacting the Catholic Church at our news and information website, iobserve.org. Get your news from an accurate and timely source, one that truly understands the Church. That's iobserve.org. And still to come on this edition of Real to Real, making ends meet this winter has become increasingly difficult. And see how the Elms Caravan is serving the needy in Chicopee. These stories and more are still to come on this edition of Real to Real from the Gray House in Springfield.
The Chalice of Salvation, your weekly spiritual connection. I'm Passionist Brother Terrence Scanlon, your Chalice host, inviting you to take time out of your busy life to celebrate God's goodness with us each Sunday morning. This week, join Father Robert White, pastor of Mount Carmel Parish, along with student choir from St. Michael's Academy. The Chalice of Salvation, your spiritual connection, Sunday morning at 10, right here on 22 News WWLP.
You are watching Reel to Reel, your window on the world around you. Here again is your Reel to Reel host, Sharon Roulier.
As I mentioned at the start of our program today, we're visiting the Gray House this week as part of our Focus on Poverty Awareness Month. Just this past Monday, Pope Francis said that world peace requires the defense of human dignity from violations such as world hunger, human trafficking, and abortion. Here in America, still one of the richest nations on earth, there remains a devastating 46 million people plus who live below the poverty line. What does this mean? We learn more about the reality of poverty on these families in this video produced by the Catholic Campaign for Human Development.
Right now in America, more than 46 million people are living in poverty. That's the largest number in more than 50 years, more than the combined populations of all these states. Who lives in poverty, USA? Nearly 1 out of 6 Americans. Wage earners who've lost their jobs, seniors who can't afford their medicine, people in the military, families living on minimum wage, and worse yet, nearly 1 in 5 children. What's it like living at the poverty line? How do you make ends meet? According to the U.S. government, a family of 4 is living in poverty USA if they're making less than $22,113 a year. That's $1,842 a month. Just how far will that take you? Not very far. Take housing. At the poverty line, you'll pay about $530 a month for basic shelter. How about keeping the lights on and the kids warm? Utilities, $250 a month. You'll need to get to work, to childcare, to the store. But public transportation isn't always available. A used car, gas and maintenance runs about $343 a month. What about food? You'll average about $334 a month. Or you'll go without. That's why hunger can be a problem when you're living at the poverty line. But maybe you can qualify for assistance, like food stamps or subsidized school lunches. And while you're at work, your younger children will need childcare. Even with subsidies, you'll spend $210 a month per child. Now, healthcare. Even with government assistance programs, it will cost you, on average, $221 a month for insurance, out-of-pocket expenses, copays, and prescriptions. Of course, a surprise illness can be devastating. Many low-wage jobs don't provide sick leave. If you miss work or stay at home with the kids, you'll lose those days' wages, or worse, your job. Now it's the end of the month, and you've run out of money. But the expenses keep coming. Clothing and shoes for your growing children, school supplies, never mind saving for college. What will you let go? Can you hang on until the next payday? or will you fall deeper into poverty? There are ways out of Poverty USA. Not with a hand out, but with a hand up. Join the Catholic Campaign for Human Development in helping groups led by low-income people lift themselves and their families out of poverty with community programs that help and by changing policies that affect people's lives, breaking the cycle of poverty for good. You can help starting today. Go to povertyusa.org. A message from the Catholic Campaign for Human Development. CCHD is the anti-poverty program of the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops, protecting human life and dignity, promoting the common good.
Joining me now is Dina Calvanese, the Executive Director of Gray House here in Springfield. Thank you so much for joining us today, Dina.
Thanks for being with us.
Well, now you have seen, working with people in the city of Springfield, the effects of poverty on a day-to-day basis. How bad is it?
It's gotten increasingly bad throughout the past few months. We've noticed a lot of new people coming, people who've never had to use services before, and they're telling us that they've recently lost jobs, or their hours were cut, or their wages just aren't doing it to make ends meet. So a lot of new faces, which is really hard for people to come down and ask for help for the first time.
Mm-hmm. Now, with this winter being so harsh as it has been, what have you seen differently in terms of the people that you service?
In addition to being new people, we're seeing people who are needing services more visits than usual because of the food stamp cuts. That really took a hit. So for a family of 4, the cut was $36 a month, which to a lot of people doesn't sound like a lot, but on a low income budget, it really equals about a week's worth of food, so that's really detrimental to folks. So we've seen a huge increase in our numbers here because of that. We used to average about 75 households each week, and now I would say since early November we haven't had a week with less than 100, and most weeks we're averaging about 120 households, so it's a big shift in numbers.
Well, thank you so much for updating us, Dina, and good luck to you.
Thanks.
And if you would like more information on the Gray House, you can find a link on our website at iobserve.org. Caring for the less fortunate also includes providing health care. When Franciscan brother Michael Duffy completed his unique doctoral project, he put it to good use with his nursing students at Our Lady of the Elms College in Chicopee. Julie Bollier takes us now aboard the Elms Caravan to see just how this special project has been serving the poor and underserved people in Chicopee over the last year.
Providing health care for the homeless, the underprivileged, and or the economically challenged has been Brother Michael Duffy's passion in life.
I'm an adult nurse practitioner, and most of my clinical has been with homeless, healthcare for the homeless, Catholic Worker Free Clinic, Pioneer Valley Free Health, etc.
He also served 6 years in Jamaica and the West Indies as a missionary running a bush clinic. Recently, he received a Paul Harris Award and completed his PhD. His passion for nursing and helping others shines through his students at the Our Lady of the Elms College in Chicopee.
Elms Caravan has been a great experience. They've actually really shown you like how privileged your life really is by seeing all these different people coming into your community, and it's really like a big awakening towards me and into nursing, which makes me want to go into that career more. From just seeing the same people every week or seeing new people come into the caravan. It's pretty exciting, and being able to kind of give back in a way that I never thought I could.
Brother Duffy says the idea for the Elms College Caravan stemmed from his doctoral dissertation. Lorraine's Soup Kitchen here in Chicopee is one of the van's regular stops. Blair comes to Lorraine's on a regular basis and attended a candlelit vigil, the Homeless Persons Memorial Day 2013 tribute, held there on December 20th.
I come up here every night, so from Monday through Friday, you know, to get them a meal. The meals are for free. I've made some nice friends in here, some real nice people. And I come up here for the pantry on my given time, you know, 10 o'clock in the morning, pick up maybe about 2 or 3 bags of nice food. I know Michael, I know Father Pedro, I know a lot of people from St. Stan's a lot of times.
Unlike many patrons of the soup kitchen and pantry, Blair does have health insurance. But those who don't can get vital signs checked in the van and get information on wellness care.
We pick up the folks that fall through the cracks in the system. We've also been able, because of being pretty regular with being out, build relationship with folks who might otherwise not build a relationship. We've also been able, through that, to refer people back to the Chicopee health system. So I do think we fill a vital role with our homeless and underserved in the greater Chicopee area.
To start off, we do usually blood pressures, we do glucose monitoring, the point of care, foot checks. If they're having any pain, we examine any complaints that they're having on. We do, for initial assessment, we're doing a height and weight, anything, just a basic routine. If there's any other problems that they have, we'll go into depth more. And Brother Michael, right there, helping you out if you have any questions.
Dean Kathleen Scoble feels that Brother Michael and the Elms Care Van are both perfect fits for the School of Nursing.
The reason we were so excited was for not only that it gives our nursing students such wonderful opportunities for learning and service opportunities for the community, but it really is part of our mission at Elms College and our School of Nursing to serve our communities.
And for Brother Michael, teaching at Elms is a win-win situation.
I get the best of both worlds. I get to teach and I get to do nursing. Probably the most exciting part is to watch the light bulbs go off as the students get it, as they on the street get the blood pressure and have confidence that it's the right blood pressure, as they do the math for meds problem this morning and say, oh, that works. Yep, it does. It's watching the light bulbs go off, and both clinical and instructional.
The Elms Care Van has 2 regular weekly stops in Chicopee, Tuesday evenings at Lorraine Soup Kitchen and Sunday afternoons at the Exchange Street Plaza in conjunction with the St. Stanislaus Sandwich Ministry. During its first year, the van has served about 500 people. Reporting in Chicopee, this is Julie Bollier.
What a wonderful service, and I can just imagine it must be so welcomed at this time of year. And finally today, we first brought you our last story back in December of 2012, profiling a very creative Holyoke artist, Edward Kwiatkowski, who was born with cerebral palsy. This condition greatly affected his speech and motor skills, especially his arms, but he did not let this disability hold him back. He learned to read, write, use a typewriter, and even play chess. But his most amazing accomplishment was his artwork. He created masterpieces with his feet, depicting worlds from the vantage point of his living room window. Sadly, Ed passed away on January 7th at the age of 77. In his memory, we offer again our story of an amazing person who proved one could overcome great obstacles and make a difference in the world.
He spends 2-3 hours a day doing artwork. It's like a job for him. Mrs. Holt, she was an art teacher, and she was the one that picked up his artwork. And she was the one that decided that his artwork was good enough to send him out to Cleveland to the art school. So he thrived on it.
I got a call from Ed's sister saying that Ed needed a wheelchair ramp. So my program runs by finding monies and resources, negotiating discounts in lumber and labor just to get ramps built the most affordably as possible. And when I went in to meet Ed and do the intake paperwork, I saw Ed's artwork and was simply blown away. And then he just kept showing me more and more and more, and the more I saw, the more I was just absolutely amazed and very excited. I'm learning Ed's story.
I was introduced to Ed by Lois Brown. When I saw this painting, I immediately thought, this is a special painting. I haven't seen work like this since I left the Guggenheim. When I saw the conditions that they were being kept in, and it was like trying to rescue a buried treasure, I felt a calling to help him out and to actually be part of preserving his legacy. We have basically photographed or scanned 384 drawings and paintings, and that's just the tip of the iceberg.
What drew me to Ed's artwork was what he saw. Drawings and paintings from his room, from the living room, shoes.
It made me wonder and think about other people.
The kids used to be afraid of him, but when they got to know him, they used to come around the porch all the time, and they used to play chess with him all the time.
Even though he was born with cerebral palsy, and even though he's currently wheelchair bound, his abilities to interpret the world and to provide us with his personal vision, which really varies, and but there's a strong, consistent approach to his work that when you see it, you know it's Ed's. It's a signature that in his work that you recognize, and I just couldn't believe the breadth of it. And I just thought, how does somebody capture or make all this art while being so limited? And then I noticed that he did draw a lot from magazines, from anything that he could be inspired by. And when he was able to walk, he was able to actually bring back memories from his walks and then come and make drawings of his impressions of his neighborhood. And those are quite amazing charcoal and pencil drawings.
I can remember when he was younger, he used to go to church. I don't know how he ever made it, but he figured God was helping him. You know, God gave him that talent, and I think he was thankful for that.
Getting a ramp built for Ed allowed him to be able to come and go in the community much more easily and safely. But Ed's gratitude in wanting to pay it forward so that other people could get ramps was demonstrated with his helping us with a fundraiser and ongoing projects to sell his artwork to raise money to help more people get ramps.
He was a very smart boy. He was a very smart person. He was young, and he still is. I mean, there was nothing wrong with him except a physical disability.
He has no pity for people who pity themselves. He's actually very funny that way. It's like, you know, it's like Ed was quite vocal about, you know, do what you can with what you got.
He's just happy to be happy.
He's done something wonderful with his life.
Life is finding joy in yourself and what you have and what you can give and what you can do. And Ed does it tenfold. I mean, he brings joy, he is joy, and he creates joy. It doesn't get better than that.
What an inspiration Ed was and will continue to be to those who face any sort of disability or struggle in life. Our sympathies and prayers go out to Ed's family on such a loss and a remarkable man. And you can share that story plus view this entire program online at any time at iobserve.org. There you can also find all of the latest news on the church in the Diocese of Springfield and around the world. Get your news on the Catholic faith from a trusted source. That's iobserve.org. And I hope you'll join me back at this same time next week for another edition of Real to Real, your window on the world around you. Have a great week.
Real to Real is a production of the Catholic Communications Corporation, funded in part by the annual Catholic Appeal, and the support of you, our faithful viewers.